Hello, everybody. I'm Marcia, and I've got a very special guest here with me today, and we are going to talk about freelancing. So, I guess without further ado, introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Hey, my name's Will, and thank you for having me on. I'm super grateful for this opportunity. But my name's Will. I am the Tech Dad on YouTube, as people call me, and I am a freelance web developer. Front end freelance web developer.
That is wonderful, and there's a reason why I have you on here because I am backend. I'm the exact opposite. If you look at my front end, there's really not much there. I think, speaking of community, I posted in Tech Dad's server very recently of a project that I did, and there was no meat on that front end. All it was it just said the title and a little bit about what it did, but no color, no nothing. So
It functions, so that works.
exactly. It functions, it works, and we get paid, right? That's
Right,
exactly why we're both here. We are
right,
not
and that's
money.
what I push all the time. Is when we're doing this and we're offering solutions to businesses, that's all they care about is does it work? Does it achieve what I want it to work on? That's all that
Exactly.
matters.
And that's what we want to share with our audience here. So, I guess how long have you been freelancing?
So I began my coding journey at the end of 2022. And probably about 6 months after I got started, I did my first, I want to say my freelance client, but it was really just a friend that had a business and I made his website for him. And I didn't realize what that was going to start later, but we'll say officially been freelancing for like 5 months, maybe.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're doing it full time too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a little more to that, but yeah, it is definitely the full time thing at the moment.
That is amazing, and I think that's what makes freelancing so great, and why I like bringing it up with my audience is that if you ever need to put food on the table or you're in that situation, you can freelance with coding, and I just feel like there's like endless possibilities. So you are front end. What type of projects, I guess, have you worked on lately?
So mostly everything that I work on is like mostly landing pages for people that don't have websites at all. But I have been doing like some more e-commerce stuff. I got somebody's e-commerce set up for like it was like on GoDaddy, so it was really simple. But for the most part, it's just building out their landing page so they can be searched for in Google because a lot of people don't even have websites at all. And I'm like, it's 2024, you need a website, right?
I agree with you. Yes, sir, on that. So when we're saying landing pages, we're talking about like when you go to like facebook.com or like somebody's like boutique shop, like that's what we're talking about.
Oh, for sure. So it's actually kind of my thing is that I earned my first $1,000 freelancing from just HTML and CSS sites, right? And like that was it. And people didn't even believe me. There were people who were like, "You're lying. Why are you making this video? You're lying to me." And I'm like, "No, I basically took like what I learned from Free Code Camp, made it prettier, and sold it. You know what I mean? And that's how we did it. That's how we got started."
Wow, that's just so wonderful. I guess you're totally right. You don't need to know like machine learning or artificial intelligence to make money. You just need to know HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript, and you can be making actual hard cold cash.
Yes, for sure. I was surprised because I didn't think it was possible either until I put myself out there and was like, I know more than HTML and CSS, but a lot of people, that's all they want. They just want a website with a couple pictures, a little
You're
bit of SEO. You need to know SEO. I think that's very important.
I agree with that statement too. Yeah, so I live in an Amish area and I don't have as many front end clients, but like my front end clients were Amish. So like for them it was like the most basic stuff. Couldn't even put a phone number because obviously they're not allowed to have a cell phone, even though sometimes I do catch them with a cell phone. And yeah, and they just wanted just a basic site and just a basic, hey, here's our farm stand. You can go pick up some stuff. And you're totally right. You don't need anything else. But I get it. The YouTube haters, or as I call them, the code weenies, can take that personally.
Right. And I'm like, why would you lie about it? But and the reality is when we're freelancing with all this, like we're just providing solutions to businesses. And that can look like anything. Sometimes it's people get paid to make copies of paper, you know what I mean? Like it's something mundane and super small, but like you're providing a solution and that's all that really matters.
So glad you brought that point up about mundane and super small. So I'm backend. So unlike you, when I show my projects, there's no pretty front facing thing. When I show it, it's kind of like what you see in the background of my screen here, where it's like, what the heck is that? If anybody looked at it, it's not human readable. But example in the back of what I have is it's for a business where I'm just tracking like PDFs. So they create like PDF invoices, and then I'm just checking it against an Excel spreadsheet that some of their finance people are doing, and then just making sure that they didn't make a mistake. That's literally all that's doing. But right there, that's $1,000 a month like program, and it runs every day for 10 minutes a day, and I pick up a check for $1,000 a month. And
In the wrong game. I got to get in the back end.
I don't know
So,
about
so
that.
how do you?
I heard you can make serious cash front end, especially if you get really good at like WordPress like sites and stuff.
You probably can, but there's a lot of competition, and then with places like Squarespace and GoDaddy, like they have all those plug and plays. So if you have a little tech savvy to you, you can figure out how to make your own website. The difference is with somebody like me, I can customize it however you want. So you don't have as much customization or control over your code. But when I'm building out one ground up, like we can do anything you can imagine, you know?
Exactly. And that's why we have a job at the end of the day.
Right, right.
Always have a job at the end of the day. And I don't believe this hype about oh, artificial intelligence, machine learning is going to take our jobs because if you can't think like a software engineer, those things are garbage.
I agree. I think the reality is by the time that AI is scary for developers, it's going to be scary for everybody. And we're going to have to figure out a bigger solution because it'd be a lot more than developers out of a job by the time it's at that caliber, I guess.
Exactly. And I also think it's just you're going to need people like you and I to keep that AI up. Like who's going to be there maintaining it? It's going to be people like you and me. And
It'd be you with your back end.
well, front end too. I mean, if the front end's garbage, like no one's going to use Chat GPT, for example.
It's true.
User experience is super important. I think people forget about that. Well, at least me, people like me, but I'm so back end heavy that I forget about user experience. So sometimes, like when I have a user that has no tech background, they're like, "What the heck is going on here?"
I agree with that, but I think if you're solving a big enough problem, they don't really care what it looks like. So I think of like AWS or something like that that's not real user friendly and like you got to know a little bit. It's solving a big enough problem that doesn't matter what it looks like because you're solving a massive problem. So I
Correct.
do think the front end is important, but also the back end's where all the like real work happens. That's where you get things done that need to be done, and it's a lot more valuable in some use cases.
I agree with that too. And I'm so glad you brought up AWS. I swear they change it all the time just to confuse people like you and I. I'm always playing a game, I feel like, with AWS. So where did you put that thing where I last saw it?
Moved it over here. So
Exactly.
I'm curious, how do you get your clients for your contracts?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that question. So, before I was very Upwork heavy. So, like job boards, online job boards, I'd say 60% of my business came from Upwork, where now I'd say it's more 40% and then 60% all word of mouth. But a lot of my conversations started on Upwork. Keep in mind, I got on Upwork back in like 2018, so before it got weird, as you guys all know. Like right now, they're like charging like freelancers, and I feel like they've changed the way they make money. They make money off of freelancers like you and I versus the other way around. And I'm not a fan of it, but I'm still on Upwork because I have a few like really loyal clients that I've had years of rapport with, and they just don't want to move off of it, so I don't push them. But yeah, I'd say Upwork and then word of mouth. What about you? Where do you find your clients?
So I'm a little more the old fashioned way at the moment. I use Google Maps and I go down into the city and I just search Google Maps and I find little businesses. And when you click on it, it'll pull up their business page. And if there's no website on there, I'll call that number and try to sell them a website. Or if they have a website put up, I'll pull it up and then I'll run some tests through it to give them a report of like, hey, you have an issue here, here, and here. I can fix that issue for you if you hire me.
I love that hustle. I love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is why I have you on here. Like, I love that hustle. I did do that too, but not as much anymore just because it's too much on my plate. But it's always fun to do cold calls. Do you feel like you get a lot of rejections? And I guess how do you handle your rejections?
That's pretty much all I get is rejections. And I don't know, I'm looking for a job right now. I'm not working. This is my full-time job. So, to be transparent, some days it's tough, right? Because I have kids to take care of and it gets to me. And other days it's part of the game. It's a numbers game. You got to make a lot of phone calls. You got to reach out to a lot of people and eventually they'll come through. Sometimes the people that you talk to and they said no, they reach back out to you later. They're like, "Hey, actually, I've seen you around a little bit more, and now you seem a little more trustworthy, so I'll reach out to you."
That is
I
wonderful.
did try the Upwork. I did. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'd love to hear your experience on Upwork because everybody has an interesting one.
It's funny you brought it because I was just having a conversation about this with Upwork and how difficult it is to break into it, and that's what I tried to do initially was Upwork. Upwork. I had no luck. I kept feeding it money. It was really hard to compete with people that were willing to do it for $10 from another country. You know what I mean? It was difficult, right? And that's what led me into finding a new solution of like, okay, this isn't working for me. It's costing me money and it's not bringing any money in. What else can I do? And it was actually my 14-year-old son that kind of got me on the cold calling because he was using the Nextdoor app. Have you heard of that?
Oh yes, I have.
So he was using that app and getting clients to cut grass for him. And he had him a little Excel spreadsheet. And one day he was like, I gotta go meet my client. It's Tuesday. And I looked at him like, dude, you're 14. What are you talking
I
about?
love it.
And he was on, and that's what like kind of inspired me. I was like, oh, he's on to something. Let me check this out. And then I did it myself and got a client. And I was like, oh wow, this is cool.
I'm gonna try Nextdoor now, and then you know what? I think our audience, both of our audiences, should give Nextdoor a try. I just want to see what happens, and they should all comment on here.
Right, and the reason I think it works so well for me is because a lot of people on the Nextdoor app I see are like older people that aren't real tech savvy, and there's a lot of small business owners, right? And those small business owners, the most of the ones that I target, even though I'm kind of changing my freelancing over the last few days, but my main target customer has been the guy down the street that owns a couple lawnmowers and he goes out and he cuts yards all week, right? And a lot of those type of people are on Nextdoor app and they're just small. They don't really care about a website. But when you bring it up to them and you tell them the benefits, they're like, I might do that for the right price. And you build them out a website and they never had one before. And it's like, it's almost like an untapped uh, customer, I guess, because nobody's pitching to them. Nobody's talking to them.
Tech
They're
Dad
like,
is
oh,
spilling some secrets. I love it.
right. But that's what's worked for me. And I'm not making enough money to pay all my bills, but I'm definitely like making money and I'm gaining more experience. I'm adding more stuff to my resume. I'm meeting more people. And through doing that, I'm probably about to secure a huge contract. Hopefully Wednesday. We'll see. We'll see. But all from going to Nextdoor app and having that hustle mentality.
That's amazing. I'm definitely gonna give Nextdoor app a try because for some reason people assume I'm a secretary. So when I did the cold calling, I know I've told you this story, but when I did the cold calling, I would always get, and I actually like physically show up to their offices because I guess I'm crazy, but and I'd tell them, hey, same kind of pitch, like I saw your website, I see some ways to improve it, and they'd always go, that's wonderful, young lady, like but we're not looking for somebody to touch our website, but you know what we are looking for? A secretary girl. And I guess I just look like a secretary girl. And at first I like didn't like the jobs. Like they'd be like, okay, it's just data entry or very tedious work. But eventually I like changed my tune. Especially once I started learning Python, I'd be like, oh wait, you want me to do data entry? And it can be remote. And if those requirements were met, I'd take the job as a secretary girl. And I just wrote a Python program that just automated the whole job away. So literally, I'd be doing no work and then just collecting a check. And for any, I already know the comments. People are going to be like, "Oh, that's so unethical." Well, here's the funny thing: every time I bring it up to those people, like, "Hey, you could like automate this away," they all give me the whole, "No, I don't ever want this automated." So that's why I'm just like, whatever. They haven't complained, so it's going to be automated until they change their attitudes on it. But like you said, I'm in a place where it's a bunch of, like you said, older people that aren't tech savvy, and I guess they're a little bit afraid of a computer program doing stuff, even if it does actually automate the whole job away. And I've got a few clients that are like that. I love them because I can't tell if they're alive sometimes. Like these clients, my favorite clients are the clients where I can't tell if they're alive because I
Right.
don't hear from them.
But that's the point, and you hit it the nail on the head right there. Is that there's a lot of people that are just they're kind of scared of technology. They don't want to mess with it, and they don't trust it. Right. I notice a lot of people don't trust the technology. Like I see it at Kroger's all the time. Like older people that will not go through a self scan just because they don't want to mess with it. They don't want to mess nothing up. But it's there's a whole generation of those type of people that don't. So they don't care how you get the job done because once again, you're providing the solution to the business, and that's all they care about. They don't care how you did it or whatever. They just want you to be in control of that and make sure it's done. So I
Exactly.
think that's I'm when you told me that story, I was just I've told it to like 5 other people. I was amazed. I was like, "This is crazy."
Hey, sometimes people underestimating you is a good thing. Like I said, they for a lot of those people, they just look at me and they see a secretary girl. They don't see a software engineer, which I'm like, that's fine.
Then you look at them and all you see is a paycheck.
Exactly. Yeah, for me, it's just
Right,
a
right.
check, and I'm not working for it. It's just showing up, and then obviously I maintain it on my own personal server, but the jobs are so small that like it takes no space. Like I think one of the jobs that I have, it's like literally 75 lines of code. Like it's that simple of what it's
That is
doing.
so I think that's so amazing. I'm really, like, feel starstruck. It's so cool. Like, that is so cool that you're able to do that.
And this is
Uh,
why I love Python, and I always feel like I sound like, what's it called, Darth Vader when he's like, "You don't know the power of the dark side," every time I talk about Python and, like, automation, but that's what I sound like.
but, I mean, it is. It's like, for a lot of people, it's like black magic. I don't completely understand all of it. Like, I struggle with the back end a little bit, and I'm getting better, and I use Node, and I'm starting to see the power in it. But if you just don't pick it up, like it is kind of intimidating. And then you talk to somebody like you, and you're like, oh, I automated my job away, like it's nothing, right? But that's so cool. That's the power of programming and being a developer is that. Then you look at my front end stuff and you're like, that's so cool. I could never. And I'm like, what? This is easy
It's
to
so
me. Like, what do you
beautiful.
mean?
Every time I look at your stuff, I'm like, "His stuff is so pretty, and why does mine look so ugly?"
And then I look at you and I'm like, how do you do that? It's just I think that's so cool that you can be a developer and be so many different ways, so many different things you can do. It's just I don't know. That's why I love development. It's why I love coding. There's
Exactly.
just endless possibilities.
And endless ways to make money, let's be real here, I'm here for the cash.
And right. And that I used to hear that all the time. People like, oh, don't get in development if you don't love it and don't do it just for the money. And man, I just never understood it because development was always like a step. Like I have bigger dreams that have nothing to do with programming.
Exactly.
And becoming a programmer was a way like a stepping stone into my other goals. I'm like, of course it's about the money. I do enjoy it. It's fun to do, but ultimately I don't want to work a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to trade my time for money, right?
I think that's all of us, honestly. Like, it's like, I don't wanna be in golden handcuffs forever, and if I had it my way, I would be floating down the river fishing right now.
It looks like you're well on your way automating your jobs. You get 5 more of those, you might be all right.
Exactly. No, but that's I mean, I love that we're having this conversation, that coding is a superpower, and I think that's why it's so important to learn the skill, even if, like, whoever is watching this right now, if you're wondering, "Should I learn or not?" Even if you don't become a full-time software engineer, it's like, you've got so much power now.
Access to whole new income streams, which is what I'm learning with the freelance is what I'm learning about, and you could probably do it before you feel like you're ready, right? And
Yeah,
I tell people that all the time that you think you're going to feel ready and you don't, and then you start doing it and you just start doing it, and you at least that was my story, anyways, is that I didn't feel like I was good enough yet I was doing the stuff that I didn't feel I was
and
good
then you're
enough to
getting
do. So
paid. Exactly,
right.
it's you're getting paid, and yeah, you had to go pay taxes on it, so that's how you knew it was real. So I guess, what are some hard lessons that you've learned through your freelancing journey that you'd like to share, and hopefully by sharing, nobody repeats it?
Right. So initially, I was walking people through how to post their websites on Netify. I don't know if I say that right. People always yell at me, but I was
Netlify.
showing them Netlify, whatever it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. But I was showing people that weren't real tech savvy how to host it themselves, and I realized that was taking the most time, was trying to figure out how to show them how to put a file on there. And I did that a couple times before I was like, you know what? I think we need to start looking at at a subscription model, or at the very least, set it up myself with their email and then give them the passwords and stuff. Because I think the first one kind of went smooth. The second one, I think he had to come to my house. It got ridiculous,
Yes.
and I was like, yeah, it was a lot, and it took over an hour to get done. And I was like, this is the easy part, and I won't do that again. From now on, it's either you're gonna pay me and I'll handle it, or I'll do it for you and I'll give you the password.
I like that. Yeah, there's just certain parts of that job, it sounds like you just gotta take it over.
Mhm. And sometimes you got to learn the hard way, right?
Yep.
What
I
about
guess,
you?
yeah, okay, about me. I can remember one, not putting late fees in my contract. Like, yeah, I had a little situation of people not paying me on time, and it just became crazy. Good, thank goodness, it's not my full time gig. I do have a 9 to 5, so but it just was annoying. It just ruined some other stuff that I had planned for that money. So revising my contracts to have a late fee, like if they don't pay me in time, they're getting a 10% charge after X amount of days, and then that fee is just going to increase, has really made people think twice about it. Or, yeah, even older clients, like if they screw up on payment now, I'm just like, I'm hitting you with a late fee. And usually after one time, they're never late ever again. So,
That's
so
smart.
that's
We
my,
call that qualifying our customers.
yes, that's
Right,
right.
right.
No, I think, we work too dang hard to, not get paid on time. I get it, like, stuff happens, they're a business owner too, but, I always pay my bills on time, so I'm gonna expect that out of my customers.
Right. I usually pay mine early. I want the same, right?
And also, yeah, now I increased it. I used to do 20% down, now it's 50% down. Like, if it's a project, I'm like, "We're doing 50% down up front, or I'm not even gonna start it."
Have you had a lot of pushback with that?
Surprisingly, no. And if I do, I kind of don't already want to work with them. Like usually there's a vibe or something where I'm like, I don't really want to do this project, and they usually disqualify themselves. But no, if they do, I've had one situation where the guy really did push back, and I'm like, he's like, oh, I'm kind of in a financial tight spot. Then I dropped it down to 10%, but like he still did the 10% deposit, and I think, you just gotta charge your time. I used to also do free consultations, and no more. There's a reason if you look at my Stan link where you get charged, even if it's a bare minimum 9.99 just to have a conversation, but time is money.
That's smart. I like that. I usually do 30% down. I don't have the luxury of having a 9 to 5 right now, so I feel like I'm a little more desperate. And I don't like that word so much, but that's kind of how it feels.
You're
So
scrappy, not desperate, you're scrappy.
I like that. I like that. But I've noticed that it keeps evolving for me. Right, my prices have went up. Things keep changing. I learn new things. I feel more confident. All these different things, and things start to evolve in the business. And with the things that kind of happened today, I'm like, this might even be a full-time job. Like, I might not need a job if it continues what it's looking like. So, which would be ideal, but it's be ready to change. So if you're out there doing freelancing, make sure you can pivot, make sure you know to evolve. It's okay to make the mistakes, but fix them, learn from them, and do something different. And I, I think every contract I've done, it's been a little bit different each time, right?
So
Honestly,
glad you
but
brought up pivoting, because I did start actually doing a lot of landing pages, just like what you did, and I found out I hated front end, which is okay. And then like I think in the past 6 months I just like dropped every single front end client that I have, and it's all back end from here.
yeah.
But that's not how I started. Or now I've like changed. Like before, I used to hate, or I'd feel like sad whenever I cold called somebody, or whenever it was a word of mouth introduction, and they'd go, "Oh, Marcia's a secretary girl." Like I used to hate that, but now I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm gonna be your secretary girl forever."
Right. What simple tasks do you want me to automate away?
Exactly. That's where I'm at. So, okay, so those are some hard lessons. I guess. I mean, I feel like doing freelancing is a grind. How do you stay encouraged?
I try not to think about it, like, in life in general, I just kinda go. Like, if I find myself sitting down, staring at the computer, staring at my shoes, whatever it is, and thinking about doing it, I'll psych myself out. So, a lot of the times, I just have to go through the motion and not think about how I feel or what I'm thinking. I just have to begin the process, and then I'll feel better about it later, right? And that's kinda true in all aspects of my life, honestly, is that I don't always feel ready. I don't always wanna do it, but if I just start moving and doing whatever it is, 5 minutes later, I'm usually all right, right?
That is wonderful. No, that I think that's amazing advice, and I totally agree with you and can piggyback off of that. That I think a lot of it, and I might get some hate for this, is that you just gotta want it enough. I feel like that's a big part of it. You just need to want it enough. I know that's not everything, and there is no hard shortcut to hard work. There's a little bit of truth to what Kim Kardashian said, is that you just got to get your butt up and work. Obviously, that was just like the wrong person to be given that advice, but a little bit of truth, and I think a little bit of intelligence, and also luck. And I feel like when it comes to luck, it's 80-20, and you just need to know when you're in a lucky situation and you got to act upon it. I feel like that's what you need.
Right, but you gotta be doing the stuff to be in position for luck to happen too. I
Yeah,
think a lot of people forget about that is that they think, I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, you just got more luck. And I'm like, no, I put myself in positions for these things to happen,
you
and
make
then you
your
said
own.
something about, yeah, and then you said something about the desperation. And I was thinking like one of my mottos is like desperation breeds innovation. And that's kind of where all this starts is that you get desperate enough for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish that you'll find a way if you want it bad enough, just like you said. And that's a key factor to it. I'm glad you brought that up because I fully agree with that part.
Yep, and no, and it could come in places that you don't expect it. Like I said, I never thought being a secretary girl would be my ticket to, like,
You gotta
scaling
quit saying
out
that.
of the
You
gold.
gotta quit saying that.
Like, I remember when it first happened to me, I talked to that business owner face to face, and he was just like, but he's like, "I could really use a secretary girl to go through my stuff and, like, just validate that this information's correct," and I was just, like, so angry at that in that moment of, like, "Oh, you don't want me to improve your site that's got, like, crappy SEO and it looks like it's from the '90s, but now I'm like, you can have that site. Leave it the way it is."
I find that so funny. You keep saying secretary girl. You're like,
Well, that's what he
that
called me. He called me, he's like, "I just need a secretary girl," and I was like, "Alright." Like,
that's
it's
the
not
new title to your YouTube channel.
secretary.
Secretary girl.
Hey,
Automating your life away.
exactly. There's just some of them don't know it or they don't wanna hear it, which is fine.
That's okay because as long as you're getting paid and you're giving them solutions, that's all the freelancing is about is something else is that it's not about the code, what we're doing, what we're using. It's about, do they trust you? Did you build that rapport with them? And are you going to give them what they wanted?
Of course. And I think, yeah, you and I are kind of just sending out the same message here to our audience, which is have grit, just keep going, even if sometimes it does suck, and just, put a smile on and just get bright eyed and bushy tailed for the next call.
Drink a coffee.
Coffee. I love it. For me, it's cherry Coke whenever I need some caffeination.
Okay. I like cold coffee.
Oh, you're an iced coffee king. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I want it super sweet and girly, and that's how I like them.
Oh my goodness.
I
I'm a black coffee girl. Like, I drink my coffee black. Don't put any creamer unless it's Bailey's.
can't do it.
You're missing out, or you don't have enough hair on your chest. That's
I
what my
don't.
dad
I
would say.
guess I don't. Give me the
My dad would always
girly
say that.
coffee drink.
My dad would always say that whenever he gave me coffee, like growing up, he'd give me a black coffee. And he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "This puts the hair on the chest."
I love it.
All right.
No, and something you had just said got me thinking about the first time I did my cold call. I had to pace in my living room, hyping myself up to make that phone call. I was so terrified. My palms were sweating. And I don't remember what you just said a minute ago, but it got me thinking about that. Like I had to hype myself up to make my first ever cold call. Like I was terrified. And
Hey,
I like Walked in the living room yelling like, "You
Into
could
the
do this. You
terror.
got it."
You walked into the terror. I love it. No, this is amazing. No, this is why I love doing these calls with people like this. It gets me hype and energetic about what I'm doing, and to see that there's other people out here grinding, hustling hard. That's why. And um, I'm so glad we had this chat, and I hope my audience that doesn't really get to see a lot of front end learned a few things off of you, especially that you just need the HTML and CSS skills to get up and running. And I hope your audience learned a little bit about backend
Yeah, yeah, because they're not getting it from me. I'll tell you that
for now.
for now. For now,
We'll do another collab later where we do a full stack project. You just do the front end, I'll do the back end.
there we go. That's
So
how
it
we
doesn't
do
look
it.
disgusting. And then maybe later on when we get really brave, we'll swap. Like I'll do the front
Right,
end, do the back end, and that'll be a horrible looking project.
Frankenstein.
Exactly.
Right,
It'll be looking horrible, but hey, we tried.
it's a solution. Go subscribe to our channel now.
Thank you so much. And same thing, everybody needs to go subscribe to his channel and all of his links, which I will be dropping in my comment section or like the about part of this video. So please check those links out and please join his Discord server as well. So if you have any questions for us, please comment below and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And let us know how it goes on the Nextdoor app.
That's right. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it so much.
Of course, and best of luck. And also to any recruiters watching this, if you're looking for a talented web developer, look no further. And I will also drop his LinkedIn below so you can reach out.